country know that these people have sabotaged the amendment of this constitution. Because I'll tell you for free.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman.
Pander to the emotional conscience of our people. But let me say this and say it clearly. It seems to me we are making an unforgivable assumption here that the existence of the word consultation in the 1991 Constitution is being misread or being misunderstood by former presidents or current president or whosoever that is supposed to be looking at it. No, the Constitution is very clear. It is very clear, and consultation for what it is, like what other concepts like participation, can be defined very invariably by people in the way and manner they want to do it. And it is in this, particular, situation that as political parties, our people have decided that regardless of how we define consultation, laws should not be ambiguous. Let us be clear. Let us be clear. To suggest the creation of a search and nominating committee makes it much more easier for every one of us. Make it easier. They will come. I mean, people are arguing that it is taking the powers from the president. No, there is a leverage. The president still has the power to say, I accept these nominations or not. But it is much more predictable. We cannot, for the sake of it, the experiences of the past that has plunged this country into so much disrepute. We cannot again leave it to chance that a president can define what is consultation for us in the way and manner he will want to. So it is not the APC that is attempting to be disingenuous to the people of this country. It is anyone who feels that we should not adopt the search and nominating committee. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, honorable members will stick the pin here. We'll stick the pin. We proceed. That's for page 2. Page 3. Mr. Chairman,
we did not get it clearly. I'm sorry, sir. I don't like to come on many be ruler. But I think we can put a motion that we either vote on it or we make a ruling.
You'll come to that later.
All right.
Let's just proceed.
Okay.
Page 3.
Page 3, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Let's go to Roman figure 5. There is this condition of age. He has not attained the age of 65 years.
Go ahead.
The two MPs that we are quarreling, stand up. All other MPs return to your seats. The two MPs stand up and leave my chambers. Leave my chambers. Sergeant Jatan, let them leave my chambers.
How about you?
Mr. Speaker, page 3.
Page 3. Yes, I was listening to Honorable
too fast.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I was talking about Roman figure in page 3, the Chief Electoral Commissioner honestly, Roman figure 5. He has not attained the age of 65 years.
That's what Roman figure 5.
Yes, age.
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion. I am not saying that strangers are also welcome to the chambers. But I am saying if our staff members are facing problems, they should be the chambers.
That's what I'm controlling. Let me take care of that, please.
And of course, let me send this note of caution to all of you, all the strangers in this world. You are not part of this debate. If you contribute to this debate, I'll send you out, all of you. And if you continue to cause noise, I'll send all of you out. You are required to just sit and listen. We have allowed you here because you are citizens. It's a privilege that you are here. Proceed.
So it's the issue of 65 years being a ceiling. Even for the position of presidency, we have the threshold, the minimum threshold of 40 years. And now for the position of who decides, together with their institution, who becomes the president, we have the ceiling of 65, creating a situation wherein age becomes the barrier to competence, integrity, experience, and all the rest of it. So I want to bring this noble house. Let's revisit this particular aspect in line also in adopting international best practices. Take, for example, in Liberia, an ordinary commissioner, 35 years, upwards, you're qualified. So I think Sierra Leone, likewise, and if we also want to talk about empowering the younger generation, who are the, let me say, the next generation of game changers, we have to start setting the pace, the foundation. So, again, let's look at the issue of 65 years being a ceiling. Let's use the minimum threshold.
What's the minimum threshold?
Mr. Speaker, we can use a minimum threshold. We can use a minimum threshold of 40. In fact, honestly, it can even be 35. That's why we are here. I'm proposing. I said it can even be 35.
Yes, Honorable Tambakeli.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to present my honorable colleague has actually read the language. It's a discretion conferred on the appointed body. So the English, if he has not
The ceiling is what I'm against. The ceiling.
So what is the problem with the ceiling? You are talking about the
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Honorable.
You know, when as lawmakers, we must be careful sometimes not to deliberately lead this country to some evolution. Mr. Speaker, we have existing laws. Principals of schools at 60, they go. They don't go to classrooms. They only run the administration of schools. If the national law is 60 years for retirement, for the electoral commissioner, 5 years has been added already, like judges and other positions in society. You know, sometimes let's not water down the gains we're making as a nation. We have ministers of government that are in their youthful age, showing competency to deliver. The Attorney General is not 50 years or above. He is showing competence to deliver. We cannot, we must not, and we should not have a commissioner who conduct an election for us, who the determinant of that election is not even the man is 80 years. Even the Bible say 70 years, and you're telling us to appoint anybody. The man mess up the nation and he dies. We must have a situation. Let's have 65 years as a benchmark. You know, I understand better.
Calm down.
They don't have the opportunity. We need that institution who is 65 years and above. If it is not broken, why fix it?
Why 32
Let our conscience speak. If it is not broken,
Why fix it?
why fix it? You know, Mr. Speaker, I understand the problem
32 what is
our colleagues are facing. I understand the position. We've had a situation in which we've had commissioners who've done 2 terms and yet still they were not 65. Are we saying the president is limited to see young people with potentials in the field of academics, law, accounting, who can man the affairs of our elections without recourse to any trouble? The problems we face in all other elections has never had a problem with the person, not the age. It's the integrity. Why not add integrity clauses? I have said this, that most times when we have issues with our elections, the people who conduct the elections, none of our laws has made provisions for those people to be held accountable and to address impunity. If it's in election, they cancel elections. But what happens with the man who has led us to that situation of the country wasting money? What?
I don't know what's happening.
You know, I am not posing to respond, but I want to give him an opportunity so his people will understand he's here. And he does not have an opportunity to debate. I want him to speak. Why do you want to decide? I'll give you the opportunity.
That's the AKK for all of us.
Mr. Speaker, in situations like this, if we are amending any part of this law, it will be safeguards, punishments, aggressive impunity. We had a situation in this country where somebody had 1 to 148 and he's walking free. So, as young people, as long as we are in this chamber, let us have progressive laws where we have situations where the electoral commissioner or his staff will be afraid to impute anything that will cause this nation into chaos. So our appeal is, we have never had situations of age. We've never had opportunity of age. We've never had opportunities of competency. We've had situations of aggressive impunity and behaviors and issues of integrity. So if there's anything we are going to add here, let it be issues of integrity checks. Please.
Mr. Chairman, I think, Mr. Chairman, sorry, I think we are wasting our time. The Electoral Commission of CIO is a public service. There is section 151 of the Constitution is intention. If the Electoral Commission of CIO is a public service, there is section 151 of the Constitution is
Mr. Chairman. The age limit referred to Mr. Chairman, when we are making laws, we make laws also to have the Supreme Court whose responsibility will be in the Mr. Chairman, when we make laws, I think we should be making laws with the intention of aiding the Supreme Court, whose responsibility will be to interpret the very constitution that we'll be making. And Mr. Chairman, you will agree with me that in interpreting the constitution by the Supreme Court, they will have to use canons of interpretation, and one such canon will be the mischief rule, trying to know disqualify any
We look for the news with the around. Log into Liberty TV online. Positively we bring the change. They get the masses involved. Staffs them everywhere, everywhere. We climb the mountain just to get the news. We go down the slums to get the views. Hi,
From 60.
voices come, credibility, now we ability. News, give the views, the tell where you want them. Government issues, democracy, now we not the answer. We human them, girl picking, there's a get the power. They count on me, they count on me anyhow. Give the news, give the views, the tell where you want them. Government issues, democracy, now we not.
Being a commissioner, my submission.
Yes, leader of the opposition.
Yes, sir. Effectiveness. And I'm telling you, one of the offices that caters for the stability of this nation is the office of the chief electoral commissioner.
Watch me.
So if we are containing civil servants who are 60 years and say we do not need their services because of their age, then we must put that same consideration on public servants who are 60 years, especially this role that is so focused, that is so focal, that is so considerable, that determines the peace of this nation, that determines the stability of this nation. Age should not be the circumstance. So we should be very careful when crafting our laws. You cannot say let 80-year-old man have this position, let 70-year-old man have this position. This is a critical position that if a blunders happen in this position, it will blow around the entire nation. So to me, for the sake of consistency, the drafters of the constitution were very intelligent. I am going to suggest that we leave it at the age of 65 as stated in the constitution instead of trying to amend it.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, sorry. I listened to my colleague on the other side. He tried to 65 should not be appointed. No, that's just the case. We are giving the latitude to the president to look at the other way around. I propounded my argument, why not 40 years? The last time when I put my case forward about the mentis, you are very clear. He said, we don't even know how people have the mental problem, even when you are sitting in a very good office. And in this particular clause, they also try to examine the frame of mind. That is the mentis. It is proposed here. Now, this is my proposal. If the fountain of honor, the threshold is 40. Let me read this provision in the Constitution, Mr. Chairman. Section 41 of the Constitution, Mr. Chairman, reads, no person shall be qualified for election as president unless 1. is a citizen of Sierra Leone, B. is a member of a political party, C. has attained the age of 40. Eta. Mr. Chairman, highest office in this land, we are saying that person should be 40 years. After elected into office, he is going to take critical decisions to decide the fate of this country. That's why the people are very crafty in this proposal. Except the mentis, the frame of mind, that's one. But I'm now proposing that deliberately, I like conformity of the law. As you said for other chairmen or for other provisions, that you are giving 5 years as a limit, and based on such other requirements, you are given another 5 years. That is my submission. That is one. So age should not be a cap in conformity to Section 41C. In conformity to Section 41C, can you let the president threshold of 40? Why not the Chief Electoral Commissioner, who is going to
announce the result after examining the mentees and after comparison the one you have in the Constitution and the one you are talking about the Chief Electoral Commissioner. Mr. Chairman, let me submit to this House. If I have a threshold for president for 40 years, and the person coming to announce for us to have the next president, why not give that individual with thorough frame of mind? Age limit, as my colleague said, not a bar to professionalism, to integrity, to length of service, to experience. Why not say, using the law? This law, the Constitution is over 30 years now. We want to make a serious amendment. I have propounded legislation, put my case in this chamber for progressive laws. I am on record for that. Today, this particular house, the 5th Parliament, and this 6th Parliament, under our leadership, we are on record for making progressive laws. That is why we have today over 30% of women elected to this chamber. So because of my experience and my fairness and the progressive nature as I am, my stature in making progressive laws, Mr. Speaker, I beg my colleague on the other side. The law in conformity to Section 41C of the Constitution, let us give a threshold for the appointment of Chief Electoral Commissioner and others for 40 years. I respect this, my submission, sir.
I don't even know why this one has become a problem. I don't even know. It seems because people have this frame of mind that there should be argument on the constitutional amendment bill, then every other thing in the bill should be argued. Because as far as I know, this should not be a problem. It should actually not be a problem. Because we all know, we have passed laws here. We have passed several laws relating to age, retirement, and stuff like that. Why are we arguing on a thing as this? We should not even be arguing. We should not even be debating on a matter like this. I will stick a pin and proceed. Then we will leave here at 3 a.m. in the morning. Yes, okay, yes. Honorable, please, sorry. Please proceed. Before sticking the pin. Proceed. Proceed. After your argument, you stick a pin. You know,
Mr. Chairman, I heard the leader of government business say rightfully so that he prides himself in the progressive laws he has been bringing before this House of Parliament. However, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, I feel sad as a representative of young people in this world of Parliament for me to hear people put in a cap or minimum of 40 years for the Chief Electoral Commissioner. Mr. Speaker, honorable members.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, I'm really sorry. I want to be quoted directly. I said
a minimum.
Thank you, sir.
A minimum threshold of 40 years.
So you can capture the young people, sir.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, 40 years is not even a young person anymore, by definition.
Watch me.
Mr. Speaker, honorable member, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, the most senior minister of government in this country, the chief minister, is 39 years old. The foreign minister, another very senior minister, is 39 years old. The anti-corruption boss is less than 30 years old. Again, doubting the wisdom of Mr. President to appoint such young people to such positions. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, you asking the people to elect people at the age of 21 to be members of parliament. But the members of parliament at 21 who are mentally stable, who are mentally mature, to apport to, how do they use process, the confirmation, to confirm these people to be of a minimum of 21. Yet still, you want to move this age from 21 to 40. Mr. Speaker, we're against this. 40 years as a minimum is disservice to the young people of this nation. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, by the 2015 census, the population of young people in this nation, the population of young people in this nation is over 73%. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, if you say judges, learned judges, the Chief Justice must not be older than 65. Why do we want the Chief Electoral Commissioner to be older than that? If the people who you're calling learned people, you say you are not tired at 65 SO2, what is wrong? In fact, being the Chief Electoral Commissioner is more demanding physically and mentally than even the judges. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chairman, there's nothing wrong. In fact, as the leader said, in line with the Civil Service Code or regulations and public service, the age of 60, 65 is appropriate. And I feel it is right, like you rightly said, Mr. Chairman, for us to be in conformity with the law. We've passed a lot of laws here regarding age. And Mr. Speaker, for that reason, if we think judges and other people, like the whip said, teachers must not be above 60, 65. Why do we want to give a man older than that age a very Herculean task, a killing task to conduct elections across the entire nation? I rest my submission.
So we stick a bit here.
Mr. Chairman, mine is going to be brief.
No, we are sticking a bit. Sorry, sit down, please.
Mr. Chairman, another point. Another point, sir.
Honorable member.
Another point on this page.
On the same page.
Another point.
Okay, yes. Page 3.
Page 3.
Yes.
Page 3. Conditions for qualification of the Chief Electoral Commissioner and the commissioners. Both areas. Both areas are suggesting addition of paragraph 6 after paragraph 5. Paragraph 6 to read as follows. Is not a member of a registered political party. It's not a member of a registered political party. But for you to be appointed, and eligible to be appointed as Chief Electoral Commissioner or Electoral Commissioner, you cannot be a full member of a political party and you expect neutrality from some people.
What do you mean by open member?
Leader of government business, I think that's
an open member.
Mr. Chairman, except to want to categorically state. You see, I've said the problem we have is trust issue with our executive powers. Because it's already clear in all of the appointments that you have done, for you in fact to work at the Electoral Commission, the Electoral Act, it's very clear that you should be a member of the political party. It's very clear. For my colleague, you know, this is the reason why we need to engage. And I'm really happy we had the engagement. I think I'm not trying to overstate the law, but I'm trying to show some understanding with my colleague on the other side. The business of legislation is how, Mr. Chairman, how do you accept you give even when I've moved my motion for age limit, my age is campaigning me. I'm here to come to terms with him. We are campaigning all over. That is not. That is his bill. It's clear. He's also not looking that you should make it very clear, distinct. This is a progressive parliament. I accept that you put clear definition that you should be apolitical for electoral commissioners. I'm coming. Let me answer. In the lieu of giving that one, I am also talking about not just staggering, but also making the appointment by terms. 5 years, the other one will come. But I will come to that because I'm still having. So the business is lobbying. As I 15 years, Honorable Tawa is lobbying me for big laws. My other colleagues are lobbying. It's beyond this constitutional amendment. It's beyond what we call the APC, the paramount chief of SFPP. It's the state of our country we are looking at. So I'm very happy with that, Mr. Chairman. I accept. So should be a political.
What wording?
The wording will come now. I have my secretary at my back. Thank you.
Madam AG, take note of that. Any other issue on trade?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm sure in our engagement this morning, which ran on to this afternoon, we agreed that on qualification for the Chief Electoral Commissioner and other commissioners, we should retain bachelor's degree and include experience. So for the Chief Electoral Commissioner, we say it should be 10 years, and for other commissioners, it should be 5 years working experience.
Take note, Madam Minister, take note. Is agreed. Take note, Madam Minister. The Chief Electoral Commissioner should be a holder of a bachelor's degree and 10 years experience.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
The other commissioners, holders of bachelor's degrees and 5 years experience.
Yes.
Yes, you have your position.
We indeed agreed.
Yes.
But similarly, we should qualify the type of experience we are requiring.
Yes, of course.
Not
We have
necessarily
governance.
Yes, in governance.
In governance and public management.
Yes.
In governance and public management. In governance and public management. That's all for page 3, with the exception of the age. With the exception of the age. We proceed to page 4.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know why we have a proposal. I just want to sanitize it.
Yes.
We already have a proposal that's talking about has professional qualifications and experience in governance and public management.
Yes. Yes.
See, just a few minutes ago, my colleague made a submission, but I did say apolitical. We don't want you to even be closer to whether registered or a member of political party. They are two different things. So we want to make sure that you are apolitical from the one. You understand, eh? So sometimes
it's difficult to prove that.
Yes.
It's difficult to prove whether somebody is apolitical.
So we don't want you to even assume that. You should even want to assume that when you are closer to the color, you should make sure even when elections, because they perceive you by putting on the red shirt and the green shirt. We want you to be far away from this thing. So yes, it's just that you want to maintain some caveat that you should not even encourage this part of the
around. Commissioners will remember Honorable Daniel Kruma.
Yes.
They will remember you for this.
Yeah, so I think I submit that when we come to the provisions, giving is well worded.
Yes, that's
yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. We proceed page 4. Yes, page 4.
Page 4, term limits for Chief Electoral Commissioner and commissioners.
Yes.
There is no provision for eligibility for the appointment. And I believe
You also use the mic?
I'm using the mic.
No, you don't say you don't.
Proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I believe sometimes we can have people of greater integrity. We can have competent people who may have served first term of 5 years, but the president in power should not be leveraged to decide whether to reappoint that person. But it is not in this bill and it is not in the extant law. So I'm suggesting that we bring that into this bill for eligibility for the appointment for a further term of 5 years only. So read as follows.
That is discretional.
It's discretional, yes. It's discretional by the president. But the person should be eligible. The person should be eligible.
Proceed.
So I'm suggesting that paragraph A, paragraph A of section subclause 7, say a commissioner shall serve a full term of 5 years from the date of his appointment and shall be eligible for reappointment for a further term of 5 years only. And then this one, irrespective of the remaining term of the other member, you delete that one. That one can best fit in the next paragraph, which is paragraph B. Paragraph B speaks to completing the term of an unfinished term. So that's irrespective of the term of order. You delete it, it stops to only, the word only. And then we delete this one, irrespective of the remaining term of other commissioners. That's not necessary there. The next paragraph will address the relationship between one commissioner who dies before the end of his term, or who resigns, or is incapable due to illness, and then another is appointed to finish that remainder of that term. It addresses that one.
Mr. Chairman, while I agree with my colleague on the eligibility for the appointment, I think if we delete the portion on paragraph A, it would mean completely different subject matter altogether in paragraph B. So I would suggest that the recommendation he has made, we introduce it as maybe paragraph C, and C becomes D, and D1 and D2.
Madam Minister, take note.
Mr. Chairman, I think we have accepted in principle. Mr. Chairman, we have accepted in principle. So I think we have the draft out of us. So the staggering the years, the remaining time, the remaining years, I think we should stick a pin and we have the proper wording. We have accepted in principle that but the one that has to do with attaining the age of 65, we still stick the pin. Because we have exactly. But in principle, what you have suggested, we get a proper draft for it, and we have the draft out with us. So let us move on for sake of time, and we'll come and get the proper wording. Various parties have suggested what we should do in terms of the amendment. In principle, you have accepted about the 5 years staggering time. But as I'm saying, we are making 2 more layers. That's why I said it should be flexible in other areas. So I submit my case.
Yes, hold on. Yes, on this page. Yes, honorable.
The 7 on the first at the top.
Yes.
It says the term of office of a member of the Electoral Commission shall be staggered. So we've agreed that the name be changed to the National Electoral Commission. So we add the word national to Electoral Commission.
Of course, certainly.
And also using the word or the phrase shall be staggered is ambiguous. The term of office of a member of the National Electoral Commission shall be staggered. That is ambiguous.
Yes, madam.
So you say that they do 5 years, they stop, or they do 3 years, they stop.
The drafter, who is the drafter? Is the drafter here? Mr. Minister, do you want to respond to that? Madam Minister, can you allow the minister? Yes, Mr. Minister.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, so first is the rationale and then the correction that needs to be made. The rationale for recommending that the term is staggered is going to ensure that there is always institutional memory. So the correction that needs to be made here is the term of office of members of the Electoral Commission shall be staggered. That is really to ensure that appointments are not made at the same time and departures do not happen at the same time, but to really ensure that at each time appointments are being made, it's really to ensure that at each time appointments are being made at the commission, that
you leave behind some old folks.
Exactly. So you leave behind certain people who will really be the institutional memories of the institution. So that way, if we make certain appointments this year, others to be made the other year, so that all of the commissioners do not leave at the same time. Of course, we note that what we have at the commission is that appointments have been made at different times, but it is not established in law. So we're really proposing that it be laid out in the constitution, so that the appointments are not made at the same time. So we recommend that this particular clause be read as the terms of office of members, of the Electoral Commission shall be staggered. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Chairman, let me. Mr. Chairman.
Honorable Leader, you know, this is a bill that has to do with the Constitution. I'll be extremely happy if we have different MPs contributing. Please.
No, it's just a question.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, we're introducing something new into our lawmaking. We've had situations where we appoint.
Hold on, Mr. Minister. I think that staggered has to be defined. That one has to be defined in the definition.
Mr. Speaker, we don't. I am begging the AG that we don't need it, because if we start to do it now, we have situations where president appoints commissioners in boards and other commissions, where they are all in the board, but they are being appointed at different times. So if you start using staggering now,
we're going to make laws to guide the president.
Exactly.
So we're only guiding. So I know it's a new concept, but we can still accept that concept because it's a good.
Mr. Speaker, the risk is we have very good lawyers. We also have very good politicians who take advantage of certain ambiguities. My fear today is we don't get to a point where we have to call people to come and interpret. When you have somebody who say, okay, it's a staggering, I'll appoint you 5 years now, you do another 5 years, another 2 years, later you do another one. But what he's explaining is 3 commissioners can be appointed at different timing, which means the law should just address my own situation. If I am 2 terms in the office, it's 2 terms, you don't need the staggering. If I am 5 years, it's 5 years. Let's just maintain our normal language of 2 terms or 5 years. But adding another new vocabulary, I stand to be corrected, but I think.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, can we also?
Mr. Chairman, I support the AG for this commission, because if, for instance, for the current government, it's like, let's say, for instance, 2 years. And then, God forbid, somebody dies now. And then a new commissioner is appointed. And then, after 2028, APC takes over. That man appointed them cannot be tampered with by the APC government. That person, the staff of office cannot be tampered with by the APC new government. That are there, I will appoint my own team that can deliver for me. The one appointed other person, so the end of his
somebody must
rename. So by the time another minister to appointed, they will be starting their first year. While this thing person will be going to his third year. That's the meaning of staggering. It doesn't mean you should feel everybody and then it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Mr. Chairman, the use.
Okay, hold on. After Honorable Tabakeli.
Yes, staggered is not and none of the explanations given in the reality is people appointed at different times and for different tenures. When your tenure expires, you go. Yeah, or they serve as good suggestion. Yeah, if there's a provision for renewal or for continuation, they continue. So let us not introduce. This is one of the things when you're in law. What you don't want to do is to introduce words that would be amenable to different interpretations. And the draftman is Mr. Thompson.
That's why I've insisted on interpretation.
So we don't need interpretation. Yeah, when you use simple, logical language, it's when you introduce this convoluted, subterranean terminology. Then you have to talk. 5 people are appointed as commissioners. If they are appointed at the same time for 5 years, they know unless there's a commissioner it's 5 years they go. If 3 are appointed this year and 2 are appointed next year, it means that those appointed first time you know, as we say law. So why do something that is going to create difficulties of interpretation? At the end of the day, we don't have monopoly of knowledge of the law, although we are lawmakers.
Honorable Tabakeli, we have seen cases where the president comes and clears the entire commission of everybody.
Exactly.
So we don't want a situation like that. Yes, proceed. Honorable Weataso.
Suggesting the AG has clearly explained to us what it is. I think what we need is a definition. We can have a definition for the neatness of proceedings, but we've clearly understood from what he explained to us why the staggering in the phrase. So what we need is a definition.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman. Yes, Honorable Mari Konsi.
Staggered in the context of appointment is clearly saying that the terms those begin at the same time and end at the same time. For all the commissioners. So this is what's going to be the practice. They are not going to be begin at the same time and end at the same time. It's going to be staggered. Commissioner 1, maybe this year, Commissioner 2. So to ensure continuity, institutional memory, they are all going to be at the same time. So staggered in the context of appointment, it means terms of members do not begin and end at the same time.
In fact, a clear definition of that word, staggered, is a safeguard. To me, it's a safeguard. We have seen cases where some people, still have their time to do, and they are sacked. Because somebody has a 5-year term does not mean he or she cannot be sacked and probably compensated. So that word staggered can also serve as a safeguard against termination of certain commissions, because you have to leave them there. Yes, Honorable Bashiru Siddiqui.
Chairman.
We are still on page 4.
Yes, page 4. After A, where a person is appointed as a member to fill a vacancy, he shall hold office for a remainder of the term of the previous member, and shall, subject to this act, be eligible for reappointment. Mr. Chairman, honorable members, we should all know that this is an independent institution, and we should give electoral commissioners free hand. I believe and I want to propose that we don't have persons filling vacancies, but we have persons occupying positions based on the term limits. For instance, when a vacancy exists, the president or whosoever that is in charge of appointing, that person should hold a complete period of 5 years. Because, Mr. Chairman, honorable members, if you say you appoint somebody to come and fill a vacancy of 2 years, that person will be subjected to the person that you are appointing, or her. Because at the end of the day, there are critical decisions. But he will be running after those people that please go and appoint me back. But let the person believe when once he occupied that position, he is occupying that position for a complete period of 5 years. But for instance, if he comes and he will have to serve for one year, he will be subjected to the person that will have to appoint him after 1 year. And there is nobody that wants to come occupy a position for 1 year or 1 year and a half and says, I don't want to continue. He will be running after persons, and his independence will be questionable. So I want to propose that persons should not fill vacancies. If vacancies exist, they should nominate persons to run the complete 5 years. Yes. So as to start.
Mr. Minister, I think that's powerful. That's powerful. Yes. Yes, inform your draftsman to see how that can be captured. Yes, Honorable William.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Over the years, the past 8 years in this service, I have been disturbed by we seated and decide the fate of others. We are discriminating others about the timeline, how long they serve in their respective position. But none of these honorable people of all have never ever decided on how long can a member of parliament come and stay in this particular service. None of them have ever said that. None of them have ever said that. None of them have ever talked about how long they will be here. We have seen, I know I'm aware of 73, but there is no time limit here. And nobody has ever argued about that. There is no age limit about it. Are we being fair for what we do in this place? That is my concern. Are we being fair? Because we talk about justice. Are we being fair to ourselves? Are we being fair? I have seen members of parliament sleeping on themselves.
I listened to him carefully. He said we are not having age limit. We are here 4 times, 3 times as the case may be. That's why I said we should look for the threshold.
So also, do you want to retire now?
No, you know what? He said no age limit. He asked why no age limit? Why should give age limit to the commissioner? Why should we? Equity and fairness.
Mr. Minister, the deputy leader of government business raised a particular point about B plus B. Plus B. Did you take notes? Yes, I did. Please work on that. Let me see the drafting. Yes. Yes. Proceed.
on page 4, Mr. Speaker, if you go back to the Political Parties Act of 2022, Section 4, we have already amended this very clause. That is Section 34 of the Constitution. In the Political Parties Act. In Section 4 of the Political Parties Act. In Section 4, we included 5 different categories that should constitute the commission. First is the chairman, B, the chief electoral commissioner, C, the legal practitioner nominated by the Sierra Leone. The chairman, yes. And B, we have the chief electoral commissioner. C, we have a legal practitioner nominated by the Sierra Leone Bar Association. D, we have a member nominated by the Sierra Leone Labour Congress. And E, we have a member nominated by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sierra Leone. So I'm just asking that we take due consideration of that amendment that was made to the Constitution and do not do another amendment again to that. No, what I'm saying, sir, we did not just amend the act. Whenever you are amending an act that has to do with the Constitution, you must ensure that you have the procedure just as you are amending the Constitution. So there was a 2/3 majority vote on this very clause when we were amending this act, the Political Parties Act. So it was just as amending the Constitution because it's a clause in the Constitution. So by extension, we amended the Constitution that very instant. So there is no need for another amendment for a clause that we have already amended in the Constitution.
Minister, what have you got to say to that?
You have the
Mr. Chairman. I just want to support the leader of the opposition in his submission. That we already did the amendment for this provision in 2022. We first did the constitutional amendment before we came to conclusion in having this section in the PPRC Act 2022. I think what we need to do is just make to reference and proper committee state what we have here. Provided proposing now to have additional is 4 there, but here we have number 5. So it's a matter of not really need to put it in the Constitution. So other states that provision in the Public Elections Act. Because you know the round or around amending the Constitution. In the future, if you want to add more members here, you want to bring the Constitution for amendment. So I think we should go with the dictates in the Act. But that's why it's stated. So I perfectly agree with you that we look at the PLC Act as stated. Yes.
Yes, Honorable.
That's not the point, sir. The point is, in the 1991 Constitution, it is written there. There are 4 members, including the chairman, 4 members, the chairman and 3 other members, and that's an equal number. That's the reason why the Constitution is being amended. It's an equal number in this Constitution, and you cannot have an equal number to form a commission. It has to be odd number to prevent equality of votes. In the Constitution, it's 4. So there's a need to amend the Constitution to make it 5. That's what the leader suggested to add chartered accountants.
No, what I'm saying, sir. Amending an act of parliament that is related to the Constitution, by extension is amending the Constitution. Because amending an act of parliament is simple majority. But amending any clause that is related to the Constitution is 2/3. When we were amending, when we were passing when we are passing.
Sorry, I don't want to stop the leader halfway, but I think you should state correctly it is not any clause which is in the bill. It is the bill that will require 2/3. He has said it. If we are making clauses in the bill, we require simple majority. But for the bill to become law in the third reading and for it to be passed into law, it must attain the vote of not less than 2/3 members of parliament.
I know, sir. Back to my point. I was saying, sir, that we use due process to ensure that we have the 2/3 to pass this very clause in the act. So meaning, by extension, we are amending the constitution. It is not the problem we've had with our constitution is that since 2002, all of the amendments that have been made to this constitution have not reflected in the copy we have now. So we should try to do a constitution that reflects all of the amendments, including section 38A, including all of this that we did. So I am saying now, because we did not put in this constitution what was amended or what was placed in the Political Parties Act, that is why my deputy is of the opinion that we need to amend the constitution. But by extension, this constitution has already been amended because we use the constitutional procedure with 2/3 majority to amend the act.
Mr. Chairman, let me ask you to congratulate our SY Speaker of Surrounding Parliament under the leadership of Umaru Baran Tarawani. We have put a comprehensive, detailed account of all the laws that we have passed in this house. We have them. It was given to us pro bono. We did not pay for it. So I want to commend the SY Speaker and the SY Clerk. We cannot just approve the amendment of the PPRC Act where there is a provision in the Constitution without paying attention to the due course. We have done that already. We don't want to go over that one anymore. So we don't have to believe in what we have done. Let us not put the integrity of Parliament to question. But I submit that we stay with the provision that we have done the amendment in 2022. And we have a provision in front of the House in the bill that search committee you should do. We are proposing that we remove the search committee for this PPRC. Same like the one we have for the consultation for the 32.3. So, Mr. Chairman, my submission is that we stay with this one we have amended, no problem. We have addressed the issue of quorum, but where there is time, we have 5 members. And the other point, we can now deal with that one. We can stick again because this big issue of search, the search committee for PPRC. I think that one also, for me, why do we need it? Let me give you a background. Under the SY president, as by Kuma, late Tola something, blessed memory. We are having serious political problems within the SFPP. We had issues of going to the Supreme Court. And who arbitrated us was the late Tola Thompson, a man who was appointed by the then administration. He marshaled us quietly, we went to Supreme Court, and we came with a very nice rules and regulations. How do we go about our party, structuring our party in terms of lower level election, right to our convention? Sometimes you have to respect the office, forget about the individual, and the performance of that individual now. You look at the office that this person, that particular caliber, Dr. Thompson demonstrated a real leadership in that commission. So that's what aided us so much in shaping our party. Today is the president we have, President Julius Barabi. We did not look at it because he was appointed because he was our opposition, and we were in opposition, appointed by the SY president and by Goma. We looked at it as a man with integrity and the purpose of hope of this nation in shaping the political parties in line with Section 35 of the Constitution. So for me, as I've said times without number, we are looking at the office, the integrity of the office. If you are not fit for purpose, the president has the moral responsibility to use Section 61 to remove you. That's clear.
So I submit that this issue of search committee must go. Must go.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
Yes, I just want to remind this House that when we were passing into law the 2022 Political Parties Act, what we first did was to amend the Constitution. So we amended the Constitution in that very act to ensure that this clause is retained in the act. We amended the Constitution. So meaning there is no need for another amendment of the Constitution. I even have with me the ruling of Mr. Speaker for the amendment of this clause in the Constitution. Now we are just going through the same point. Initially when we dealt with the search and nominating committee for ECSN, which is the same for PBIC, the two sides have different opinion, and we decided to stick a pin. So if we have stuck a pin on them, on the ECSN, I think we should do the same for PBIC. Because they all cover the same thing.
No, is that
we have two issues there.
Meaning with proof of what you guys said.
One, the composition. We are dealing with two issues. As far as that point is concerned.
We have amended this in the past. So if proof of that, let's say we have amended this in the past. So if there's a proof of that, then this one should be expunged. If there's proof of previous amendment of 34.
Mr. Minister, let me hear you.
so, Mr. Before the minister?
Yes, let me hear you, Minister, hold on.
Thank you. Before the minister, Mr. Chairman, honorable members. In 2022, we amended the PPRC Act, and it was clear on how the chairman of the PPRC should be selected.
No, lens.
It was clear because before amending, we amended the Constitution so as to allow this Parliament to amend the PPRC Act. And if you read the PPRC Act, Mr. Minister, sorry, I know you are not in office while we are amending the PPRC Act. The PPRC Act states in Part 4, subsection 3, it says the chairman shall be a person who is qualified to be appointed as judge of the Superior Court of Judicature, appointed by the President in consultation with registered political parties, subject to the approval of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we should also bear in mind that His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, is a president for all. And by voting the president, it means we have trust in him, and we should give him the laxity to determine some of our rights. The president is not president for APC, not a president for SFP. He's a president for Sierra Leone. I have read other laws. If you go to Nigeria, Mr. Chairman, the Electoral Commission is selected by the president in consultation with the council. If you go to Gambia, it is the same procedure. If you go to Ghana, it is the same procedure. So we should not be seen watering down the powers of the president because we don't like President A or President B. The president is the president of Sierra Leone. Today it is President A, tomorrow it can be President B. So let us, as Parliament, don't focus on the person. Let us focus on the office. Let us focus on the office. And the office here we are setting is the president, the fountain of honor, the commander-in-chief. We should believe as a state that by voting majority for a person to lead us, it should also have the powers to determine positions of trust. So please, the fact that we have amended, we at this point should be defining consultation so as to ascertain that no president in the future will just take a phone and call the party leaders. We should explain exactly how we want to see the consultation so that everybody should be involved. Political parties should be involved. We should even know if they should have a meeting, or we should not define consultation. But for us to again go and say we reduce the powers of the president and give his powers to other persons, it means we don't even trust the person we all vote for as president. So, Mr. Speaker, as we have amended in 2022 the PPRC Act, I want the minister, Mr. Minister, please, I want us to stick by that amendment and define consultation in the case of the PPRC.
We are not dealing with consultation.
Yes. It is here in consultation. That's what is in the current act.
Mr. Chairman. We are dealing with section 34.
No, we are dealing with PPRC. That's what it says. The chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
The chairman should be.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have listened carefully to my colleague, and it's very clear that under the same circumstances for which the Search and Nomination Committees could be constituted for the appointment of the Chief Electoral Commissioner, the same applies for the chairman for the PPRC. And we have had different arguments for Cressy. You've made your point very clear, we've made our point very clear. It was from that reason. Yes, sir.
Incidentally, we are still dealing with page 4.
Yes, sir.
We have not gone to page 5.
Yes, sir.
What you are saying is on page 5.
Exactly, sir.
Let's deal with page 4.
Page 4. Exactly. Oh, okay, sorry. So I am saying the amendment that was done to the Constitution was done categorically for Section 4 in the Political Parties Act. It did not go out.
Is it 4 or 34?
In the Political Parties Act, Section 4. In the Constitution, it's Section 34. So meaning Section 34 in the Constitution, the Constitution we have now should not exist. Instead, we should have Section 4 of the Political Party Act in Section 4 or in Section 34 of the Constitution. And we did not amend the Constitution, like you said, we did not amend the qualification of the chairman of the commission. We did not amend the Constitution for that, because we did not the formation of the composition of this committee of the Political Parties Act did not cater for a change in the qualification of the chairman. That was why we did not touch the Constitution. So there was no nexus between what he is stating now, amending the Constitution, and the qualification of the chairman. The same thing, like we have said, the same thing suffice for PPRC, the same thing suffice for the Chief Electoral Commission. So I am going to suggest the same thing as you have just struck a pin for the Search and Nominating Committee. Let it applies also for
yes,
this.
That's on page 5.
Yes.
What I'm saying, I understand your train of thought. What I see here is that, Mr. Minister,
yes,
the leader of the opposition is saying that we have already done some amendment on this section 34 in the political parties act also. Is that what you're saying?
yes.
Yes. So what have you got to say to that? We still have the provision here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, yes, it is true that the amendment was made, and of course, it will be we will share the position that the amended provisions were reflected in the Constitution. But the point, Mr. Speaker, honourable members, I think attention has been paid a lot to the number of commissioners as well as the Search and Nominating Committee. But reading the clause itself, you will see that whilst in the Constitution, Section 34 provides for a political parties registration commission. The recommendation from this process, which made its way into this bill, actually has to do with the name of the institution. To now read, instead of Political Parties Registration Commission, to now read as Political Parties Registration and Regulation Commission. Of course, there has been a debate as to whether to stick with what was in the amended law to read as Political Parties Regulation Commission, and then determine whether regulation includes registration. But the recommendation from the broad consultative process, which made its way into this bill, was to rename the institution instead of what we have in the current constitution as Political Parties Registration Commission, to now read as Political Parties Registration and Regulation Commission. That is why this particular proposal on this clause is in this bill. Thank you.
I think that's clear.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Chairman, let me say something.
No, let's finish. I'll come after.
Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you know why we are meandering around. They brought deliberately the research committee for this purpose of amendment. If you go to section 34, the composition, political parties are not included in the process of people to have a chairman of the commission. What they did, and that was the amendment for the PPRC Act. We brought in the constitution to be amended for the composition. But as my leader of the opposition said, Mr. Chairman, they also introduced this phrase. Because if you say you are a sheikh, you are associated with a mosque. If you are a pastor, you are associated with a church. Now you cannot stop talking about having a chairman of the commission, and you have nothing to talk about the political parties. So what they did for section 4 of the Political Parties Act, they said the chairman shall be a person who is qualified to be appointed as a judge in the Superior Court of Judicature, appointed by the president in consultation again with registered political parties subject to the approval of parliament. So they brought in such committee because they saw that adjective consultation. But as I said, if you are a sheikh, you should be associated with the mosque. If you are a reverend, you should be associated with the church.
Leader, sir, with all due respect, we have not gone yet to the side.
I am coming, I'm building my case.
We are still at the
yes, I know
composition.
Yes, that brought about the change having a composition. It led to this provision. If you go to this 4, talks about the composition in the Act, which is quoted. You refer to section 4 in the Public Elections Act. Then, as I'm quoting, the same provision, the sub clause, the sub provision is talking about consultations. So I'm making reference back to the search committee. As they did in the 32.3, they brought in all the list of consultations. They did not talk about political parties. So they brought again the same provision in 34 for the composition of all of the members. They talked about search committee. In the search committee, they did not talk about political parties. But in section 4 of the Public Elections Act, in the Political Act, they mentioned consultation. So what they did, I'm being in tandem with the Act, in tandem with the Constitution, and the proposed bill. The bill we have in front of us. They are all speaking to each other. What my colleague is saying, we can perfectly agree. We have amended the Constitution for us to give us the provision for 5 commissioners. In the Constitution, we only have 4. We have done that amendment. But we came, like what we have in the bill, consequential amendment to create for the Public Elections Act. It's also speaking, part 2 of this bill. We have consequential amendment, speaking to amend the PPRC Act. It is clear. So likewise, he said, which I perfectly agree, you cannot just amend the Constitution because you're having a bad day. It has to serve its purpose, to establish authority. That is what I say. I'm supporting him, but I'm making my reference in tandem with the provision that you have passed. We passed the provision because we are given a leeway by the constitutional amendment to give us 5. Now we are questioning what my colleague said. We permitted political parties because consultation in section 4, which you put it. Mr. Chairman, to be very honest, we have dealt with this particular provision in page 4. I don't see why we are going back and forth. He has stated it, except we want to down the integrity. So what I'm now questioning, I will say we amended we did the Public Elections Act without amending the Constitution, section 34. Are we saying that? Because 34 is 4 commissioners. And we are now having in the Public Elections Act 5 commissioners. So we have done that already. If you only want to address the issues in before, we have done that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I don't think what the leader is giving tonight the bone of contention. I agree with you fully that we have amended the constitution. So therefore we have an understanding. Now let me go back to what the AG said. The AG said that they brought this section in the constitution because they want the powers of registration and regulation, to be given to PPRC. Am I correct, sir? He said that is the reason. But again, I want to put it to you, sir, that we took care of that when amending the constitution, because the name PPRC was Political Party Registration Commission initially. So we changed it to Political Party Regulation Commission. Now I will read the long title of that bill that will clearly answer his question. The long title of the bill, that is the Political Parties Act of 2022 that was passed here in the House. The long title says, being an act to provide for the continuation of the Political Parties Registration Commission as the Political Parties Regulation Commission, to provide for the regulation, including the registration of political parties in accordance with Section 34 and 35 of the Constitution, and to provide for related matters. So the powers to register, the powers to regulate was all given to them by this amendment that we did in 2022. So there is no need for it to appear again in this constitution, because we did that before.
In this constitution, that commission is called the Political Parties Registration Commission. Now, in the act you're referring to, we have changed the name to Political Parties Regulation Commission. That has to be reflected. That's what he's saying. That has to be reflected.
Mr. Chairman, again.
In our ground.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, again. What we did, I have the ruling of Mr. Speaker with me here in 2022. What we did was to amend the constitution. We changed the name first in the constitution. You cannot touch no law. This parliament does not have the right to create any law that is.
Mr. Minister.
We already amended the constitution.
Did you take a look at that?
Yes.
Yes, hold on. Mr. Minister, did you take a look at that?
Mr. Speaker, I think you have made the point better than I would have of that. Whilst the amendment was made, and this is a discussion that I have had, or we have had, with the chair of the PPRC, who has expressed concern about having a very long name to read as registration and regulation. His position has been that what is in the amended law reading as Regulation Commission be reflected in the Constitution itself. And whilst I would say that the proposal here makes the title a bit long, yes, it has been our position that what is in the bill, what is in the amended law, be read very clearly in the Constitution. Now, of course, the leader of the opposition says that amendment was already made by this House. That was not our reading on the tripartite committee, and that was not the reading when we had a discussion with the PPRC. But we'll take the point, and we will make sure that the correct name as amended in the Act, and which, as you have noted, was first done with the Constitution. We will take steps to make sure that it's reflected in the Constitution itself, to read for everyone as the Political Parties Regulation Commission. Noting
In that
amendment has already taken place.
In that case, we'll stick a pin here, we'll come back to this. Like you said,
the minister has already accepted that in their responsibility to regulate, it was clear in the long title that they have the power to register. They have the power to register. So even without registration appearing in the name, Political Parties Regulation Commission, I was reading the long title while you were talking. I don't know whether I should read the long title again.
Read that again.
Yes. That is the Political Parties Act of 2022. It said, being an act to provide for the continuation of the Political Parties Registration Commission as, that is the new name, as the Political Party Regulation Commission, to provide for the regulation, including the registration of political parties in accordance with Section 34 and 35 of the Constitution, and to provide for related matters. So this act was an amendment of the Constitution, and them having the powers to regulate, they have similarly the powers to register as provided for by this amendment.
Mr. Chairman, I take the cue from you.
Yes, proceed, Honorable Gilbert.
Yes, I take the cue from you. When you look at the side note,
Mr. Rogers,
the side note. Now I want to take
Mr. Rogers.
When you look at the side note, and what is in this draft bill is different from the side note of what is in the Constitution. So for uniformity, it is good that the side note of what is in the Constitution is in tandem with what is in the Political Parties Registration Act that was passed in 2022. So the side note of this bill reads Political Parties Registration and Regulation Commission.
Exactly.
What is in the Constitution side note 34 is Political Parties Registration Commission. So what I think the minister is trying to do, seeking to do, is to add the word regulation to the side note as much as it will connotate their functions.
Yes, my elder brother. We have amended this very clause in the Constitution. It should not have read registration. It should be regulation because we have changed it. But like I repeatedly said, most of the amendments do not reflect in this Constitution because since this one was made in 1991, there has not been any other constitution reflecting subsequent amendment. So I am saying now, in the amendment we did, we changed registration to regulation. So the side note should have been regulation because we have already amended it.
Mr. Chairman, can you please, as you stick a pin, can you please call for the answers for clarity and for the purposes of all? Because Mr. Chairman, all of us arguing back and forth in this house. We were here in 2022 when we amended this particular act. And Mr. Chairman, if my memory could serve me well, we voted first for the Constitution of Sierra Leone. We amended the Constitution first. Before ever, we went through to amend the act. There is Assad, the house has Assad. Can we call for the Assad so that the back and forth is solved?
I had the floor before my lady rose up. I had the floor before you rose up.
It's not what you want to correct.
Mr. Minister, incidentally is here. I've also seen it. So, what do you do?
So, Mr. Chair, I want to suggest that we delete this whole section, this whole clause that is brought in by the minister, because we have already gone through it in 2022.
Yes. So, Mr. Leader of Government Business. Leader of Government Business, hold on, Mr. Minister. Leader of Government Business, in the current circumstances.
Mr. Chairman, I have stated my position from the one that you have not the amendment. I was making reference over and over. I think you have to regulate us properly. They are straining us. They are making us difficult to speak. We are talking beyond our normal voice. Mr. Chairman,
I made this position. I said, what he has proposed is virtuous. I said, we did the amendment in 2020. I said, we are putting the integrity of parliament under questioning. So we have done that. I said it clearly. So now, because we have the constitution, the edification of those who are not around, but we have not proved that one. I think we should put that to PC. The next PC, yes.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Section 34, subsection 4. I read. There shall be the Commission shall be responsible for the registration of all political parties, and for that purpose may make such regulations as may be necessary to establish a regulatory body by the Constitution. Yeah, no, what I'm saying, what was the point of the amendment?
Bring that. Yes. Mr. Minister, can we proceed?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Can proceed. And noting the points that have been raised, it will be our proposal that this clause in the bill be struck out.
I think that should be limited to just 34(1), is it? Just 34(1). Not the entire 34. Leader, can you move?
I was expressing my, I think you should be one. So move that, I think he should move that, they are moving. Mr. Eji, they are moving for us to stop the.
So remove 34-1 as you have proposed, right, Mr. Chairman? That's what I'm saying.
So the whole of 34-1 goes?
Yes. Yes, we are set for that. We should go. We have seen the amendment, the constitutional amendment for 34-1 in 2022. Are you with us? Okay, so that's what I've got.
Page 5.
Mr. Chairman. Are you on page 4?
Page 5. Yes, I'm on page 5.
Page 5.
Yes.
Okay, I will proceed for you. Come on. You know that guy here? You don't listen. You got, I see.
No, Mr. Speaker.
No, if I speak up the speaker, we jump up with you. No, it's no, clap. Mr. Speaker,
No, hold on. Yes, Honorable Ike. Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, this is a progressive parliament. And for some of us who've been fortunate representing this parliament out of Sierra Leone, if there is anything that has received accolades on behalf of Sierra Leone, is the 30% quota we have given to women. And we appreciate His Excellency the President for enforcing what was in our constitution in 2022. Because it was first stated in the APC constitution before it was put in the GWIP bill. But Mr. Speaker, we should not. Mr. Speaker, we must not limit women to just issues of parliament and elections. It is our own view on this side of the aisle that the 30% must also be part of appointees of the president, the executive arm of government. Mr. Speaker, even when we are in this world, we very well know we have competent women who can represent, who can be ministers, who can be head of parastatals. You know, when we are here as members of parliament, when we make boards, we say we should have 30% in those boards. But when it comes to ministerial appointment, the law is silent. So we want to add that it should not just be elected members of parliament, but with a shout that women should also have 30% in the executive arm of government. So, Mr. Speaker, as a progressive party that placed this in our constitution in 2022, that believed in women's empowerment, that was completed in 2023, we now move forward to say 30% must also be indicated at the executive level. I want to hear the women shouting and clapping. So, Mr. Speaker, they are not shouting. So, Mr. Speaker, this is our proposal, and we want women. As a father of three girls, I will support this with my chest out, that we need 30% in the executive arm of government for women. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Yes, hold on. Yes, Mr. Minister. Let me hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Member. I like the enthusiasm. I am really pleased, and I will convey to His Excellency the President that his commitment to this has really gained traction. And on this way aligned. However, Honorable Mr. Speaker, Honorable Members, it will be Mr. Chairman, Honorable Members, whilst I appreciate the enthusiasm and commitment shown by the Honorable Member, I'd like to note that Section 35 of the Constitution, where we propose to make this a requirement for political parties, that section deals with the conduct of political parties. So we cannot include language that relates to the exercise of executive authority under this section. If there are any proposals to be discussed, we will be happy to discuss under section 59, which talks about the establishment of cabinet or where executive authority rests. But this section relates to the conduct of political parties, and it will not be to constitutional making to include executive authority there. So that, Mr. Chairman, members of Parliament, it will be a suggestion of that we keep the proposal as it is, as one that applies to the conduct of political parties, and then leave the exercise of executive authority away from this section. Thank you.
35, page 5, sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
yes, proceed.
We want to be guided. We want to be guided by law. And as much as we are convenient in discussing women's issues in court and gender parity. But we start from the search committee at the PPRC. In my submission, this is a good of everyone. In my submission, I quoted 105 and United Law Construct number 6. I said we can make the law retroactive 1065. It was deliberate, and I quoted 171 subsection 15. Inconsistency with the law. I'm building my case now. Search committee I come to, why I said we should kick it out. You see, we don't make law in a vexatious manner or with malice. So we should sit at a platform where we think we are making laws with foresightedness, determine the futuristic nature of our political demographics, or the future of our politics in Somalia. Mr. Chairman, one, if you look at section 61, I read, yeah? Section 61. My colleague on the other side, please patient with me. I hope you will support me in this one. Constitution of office. Subject to the provisions of this constitution and of any act of parliament, the president may constitute offices for Sierra Leone, make appointment to any such office, and terminate any such appointment. 53. That deals with the executive powers of His Excellency the President of any political party or any president. 53.3. We are dealing with the hybrid constitution. I'm not a lawyer, but these provisions are intertwined. So we should be careful in introducing some of these phrases or clauses. 53.3. Let me know. 53.3. Whereby this constitution or under any other law, the president is required to act in accordance with the advice of any person or authority. The question whether he has in any case received or acted in accordance with such advice shall not be inquired into in any court. In any court. So why are you creating a platform? You take such committee, you take it to president and will not accept. They have used it before. Presidents, they have used it before and they are using it. As I said, let us believe in the faith of people who are put in office. I have cited the issues of Tola Thompson. Let's say memory. He helped us shape our party. That is very difficult for you to meander around the SNP. Inter-party democracy. It's very difficult to play with us because we constituted our rules and regulations from the Supreme Court, the highest court of Islam. So to come for you to dilute us, you have to be well seated in terms of law. You have to tell us beyond the jurisdiction here. So, Mr. Chairman, this clause will not make any defeat. That's why I have decided that we should forget about it. If I don't fight to talk about the late Tola Thompson for what he did for our political party, the man we have in the seat as president, he helped us to shape our party. Let us believe in the office and respect people who are going to that office. Now, to women. So subcommittee must go. Let's not be saying so women. I am a good supporter
advocated for women. But I want to read the context of the law. The context of the law. We are permitted to curb gender parity. That is why we are very careful in dealing with the provisions. We say at least, so that we cannot hurt the other sex. Because chapter 3, I'm not a lawyer. If we ask how to interpret, we bring chapter 3, which is an entire provision of the Constitution, Act number 6. It will bring to our 24 of this house so many arguments. So we have to be careful how we play with the words. We don't want to make it exclusively. If you talk about you want to bring in for executive provision, but wait, what I don't like, and I'm going to want the AG. In my submission in July 2025, in the consultations for the amendment of this constitution I'm dealing with now, one of the recommendations, they said it can consider under the PR, the provincial representation system, under the PR, they should be thinking about spreading it up at the executive level. At the executive level. Now what we are dealing with, as said by the AG, we are dealing with at the electoral level. So what they have submitted is quite in line with the consultation of Mr. AG, what he has done. Mr. Speaker, we beg consider that one in the provision of section 59 of the Constitution as you have stated. But remember, there is a provision in the GIWI Act, which the President is using. Tomorrow in this chamber, we are going to present presidential nominee. Over 30% are women. Over 30% are going to be women. I present them in the distinguished, in the superior position, not even in the inferior position. Mr. Chairman, in how much we are satisfied with women? One sex, chapter 3 of the Constitution is an entry provision. We should be careful in dealing with these things because they are all vulnerable groups. But women, think about what they are doing. We are supporting that. If you are talking about an executive position, let us not use harsh adjective. We may just import what we have in the GIWI Act and bring it to the Constitution to consolidate women's position. To consolidate it. Now, in the electoral law, section 58 of the Public Elections Act, Mr. Chairman, we have tested it. It has worked for us. Today, I'm proud to say, the 2023 election, we are able to elect over 30% of women in the electoral levels for women. Now, hold that position constantly in the Public Elections Act. Now, what you are saying in the GIWI Act, we want to consolidate the 30%. I support my colleague on the other side on the provision of the law that we just take that provision and bring it to the Constitution and consolidate it. Let us accept that 30% at minimum rate be put into the Constitution. I rest my case in the conformity of the law. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
After the leader of the opposition,
I have carefully listened to my counterpart, and the picture presented is simply not the case in what we say. Nobody is trying to reduce the powers of the president. Nobody. In fact, in this case, the president even has the right to accept or reject the nominations made to him by the search and nominating committee. Let me tell you, in the constitution, Mr. Speaker, am I protected?
100%. Now what
Yes, there are security of tenure. Like for example, the office of the ACC Commissioner, the office of the Chief Justice, the office of the Bank Governor. The president does not have the right to dismiss them or to sack them. It is not because they want to reduce the powers of the president. In democracy, there should be checks and balances. This is what strengthens democracy. You don't give absolute authority to just one person. And this is the same checks and balances we want to go for in this case. Let me tell you, we should ensure there is institutional independence. That is why the protection, the security of tenure is there for the ACC. So that when they find somebody very close to the president culpable, they will be very unhesitating to take the appropriate action. they will not be afraid that they will be dismissed from their office. So it enhances institutional independence. So we are saying the commissioner should be independent. How could the commissioner be independent? It's when he is not directly appointed by the president. Because when he is appointed by the president, he answers to the president, he owes the president an obligation, and he could be dismissed by the president at any time. So we are trying to create that kind of shift in our democracy. You could not agree with me, we've had problems with our elections. And one way we could go forward to solve this problem is to ensure that we create independence, institutional independence, and we promote accountability. That is why. So if you have had a team of Sierra Leoneans, credible Sierra Leoneans put together, drawn from all walks of life, as stated in the bill, drawn from all walks of life, these Sierra Leoneans will not be partisan. These Sierra Leoneans will not decide based on party. And one careful thing that we omitted that should be included, it should not only be those institutional representation we stated. There should be representation of all political parties among those who should be elected. Because these are the custodians, these are the politicians. These are, they say, only a region can stop a region. So you cannot decide for a chief electoral commissioner and you take independent institutions who have nothing to do with elections and forget about representation from political parties. So we are saying, for the sake of the independence, because there has been, recently I did an interview in one of the most popular stations in Nigeria. And I told them one problem we've been having in the sub-region is the credibility of the commission and the commissioners. It's not only in Sierra. So we are saying, for us to enhance institutional independence, for us to enhance checks and balances, for us to enhance accountability, for us to reduce the abuse of power, we should strengthen our governance system. And one way to strengthen our governance system is to have independent appointment of people into key positions. And this position is one. Let me tell you, there will be always problem in our electoral process if we don't impose confidence on the chief electoral commissioner. And one way to impose confidence on him is to ensure that he is independently appointed into the office. And this structure is the best fit for our society.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I like this. I really like this. I was on the other side. I came. That institution. Honorable Let Momokuja said we should preserve the sanctity of the institutions. But let me tell you, the Constitution is the Constitution. The same provision was quoted to us. And we said, we are law-abiding political party. We should give a leeway to the president to act in the constitutional mandate given to him. We accepted the removal of the then bank governor. He was removed because they have put us out of power. That is one. That was our submission. But Mr. Chairman, let me tell you, I'm happy when you stated that we are preserving the independence of institutions. Kudos to you, sir. I salute you, sir. You know what we are fighting today? We are fighting to remove the case law we have. The removal of the vice president is in this bill. Mr. Speaker, I have debated it 10 feet out number. I am going to debate it today again. Mr. Speaker, they remove the vice president of this radio, of this country, without the whole institution. Pay attention to Section 51 of the Constitution. Oh yes, oh yes. We want to preserve the sanctity of our institution. Oh yes. Mr. Speaker, tripartite, I will come to argue my colleague here. Why tripartite refuse to listen, to look at the Constitution, 32 sub-11, 3211 of the Constitution, 1992 October 6. They said the institution shall be independent institution. They said now, from tripartite, with no locus, not paying respect to Section 171, subsection 15 of the Constitution. He is the chairman of the Oversight Committee. Oh yes. Oh yes. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Oh yes. Are you telling me
Are you telling me if you believe in so be it? Section 32, subsection 11 of the 1981 Constitution Act number 6, he should recuse himself from that position now. He should recuse himself from that position now. If you want to preserve the sanctity of the Constitution. Secondly, let me submit, we should also, by speed, to kill the case law by amending clause 9 and clause 11 of this bill from the reinstate the vice president's position, not only removing you from a political party, but paying respect to section 51 of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I have said it. I am a Catholic Christian. I am a knight. I don't play to the gallery. I play with the law. I use circumstantial evidence to prove my case. I have used two scenarios. If he believes in section 32, subsection 11 of the Constitution, let him recuse himself from that appointment, from that committee as chairman, because nobody shall pay oversight on ECSL. That is one. Secondly, let us with speed reinstate position of 51 in the removal of the vice president. As I speak, President Leo today can remove the vice president of this nation. You think we are kidding? I submit my case. I will say no more on this.
This is one of the responsibilities of members of parliament. You cannot say because a bank governor was sacked when he had security of tenure in 2017, or because Ademakoli was forced to resign when he had security of tenure at ACC. You should not take security of tenure. You don't kill the law because of an abuse of the law. You correct the system. You don't make a bad government because they are I am totally against that. This parliament, one of our preliminary responsibility is to correct the system. But you cannot go back to justify that. We need to move ahead. Let me tell you.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think you need to call my name. Mr. Speaker, point of order, 34. Mr. Speaker, I think, let me just clarify. I said when they removed the bank governor, I said we are accepted because of the constitutional provision of His Excellency the President, Section 61. So what we did is to step in line with Section 61 by removing the Anti-Corruption Commissioner, because Section 171, what is in the Constitution should not be inconsistent with any act of Parliament. So I consider to that the moment to this case. I have made my submission, Mr. Speaker. Let them not call my attention.